While America was bolting bigger V8s into everything with wheels, Japan took a different approach: smaller engines, smarter engineering, and somehow they built machines that could run circles around traditional muscle cars. These 10 Japanese legends prove you don't need cubic inches to dominate, you just need precision. And some of these are so rare you've probably never even heard of them. Number 10, 1972 Mazda Savanna RX-3 Coupe. Forget everything you know about engines. The 1972 Mazda RX-3 didn't use pistons. It used a rotary engine that spun instead of thumped, and that weird decision made it one of the quickest pocket rockets of the early 70s. This thing hit 0 to 60 in 8.8 seconds with just 110 horsepower from a 61 cubic inch Wankel rotary. Top speed, 125 miles per hour. Not bad for something that looked like it should be dropping kids off at school. Mazda wasn't just being quirky, they were being clever. Japanese tax laws punished larger engines, so the rotary got around the bureaucracy while delivering performance that rivaled engines twice its size. It was lighter, smoother, and revved like it had something to prove. The RX-3 came in coupe, sedan, and wagon flavors, but the coupe was the one that turned heads. Dual round headlights borrowed styling cues from the '64 Mustang, and that sloped rear window gave it a sporty silhouette that punched above its weight class. Inside, vinyl seats featured embossed pleats, and the 3-spoke steering wheel showcased the triangular shape of the rotary engine's rotor. Because if you're going to be different, you might as well commit to it. The dashboard kept things simple with the radio mounted above the HVAC controls. It wasn't perfect. The live rear axle with leaf springs meant handling could get sketchy in tight corners, but Mazda compensated with power brakes featuring front discs and rear drums. You could push it hard on the weekends and drive it to work on Monday without drama. The RX-3 proved rotary engines weren't just a gimmick, they were a viable path to speed. Number 9, 1975 Toyota Celica GT. The 1975 Toyota Celica GT doesn't look like a speed demon. Stock numbers were downright modest: 0 to 60 in 12.5 seconds, top speed of 114 miles per hour, courtesy of a 134 cubic inch inline-4 pushing 96 horsepower. But here's where it gets interesting. What the Celica lacked in factory performance, it made up for in pure potential. This car became a blank canvas for anyone with a wrench and a vision. When Kong View and his cousins found a neglected Celica GT 13 years ago, they didn't see a slow classic, they saw possibilities. The transformation took patience. Complete teardown, fresh gunmetal paint borrowed from a 2006 Corvette, taillights from a '71 model for that nostalgic touch, retro-styled SSR Longchamp wheels that tied it back to its roots. Then came the real magic, a 4th-generation Toyota 3SG TE engine swap, Turbonetic T3, T4 turbocharger, custom exhaust and intake manifolds, Infiniti Q45 throttle body, HKSE 8 engine management. The Celica went from mild-mannered commuter to something that could embarrass cars with twice the displacement. Handling upgrades followed: custom rear coilovers, 4-link bar setup, and TE3 camber plates. Willwood brakes with custom rear disc conversion gave it the stopping power to match its newfound speed. Number 8, 1971 Mitsubishi Galant GTO. When Mitsubishi looked at the Ford Mustang and Pontiac Firebird, they didn't just admire them, they borrowed the playbook. The 1971 Galant GTO was Japan's answer to American muscle. Long hood, sharp ducktail rear, rounded quad headlights, pillarless design with frameless windows. This was a Japanese coupe wearing Detroit's finest inspiration on its sleeve. Performance backed up the looks. The GTO could hit 0 to 60 in 9 seconds with a top speed of 120 miles per hour. Impressive numbers for the early 70s. And it did it while returning 30 miles per gallon, proving efficiency and speed didn't have to be enemies. The car first appeared as the Galant GTX-1 show car at the 1969 Tokyo Motor Show, making quite an impression. By November 1970, it hit the market as the flagship coupe of Mitsubishi's Colt Galant sedan lineup. 5-speed manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, an engaging driving experience that delivered exactly what it promised. Mitsubishi had big motorsport plans for this car. They intended to showcase it in Japan's JCCA Grand Prix circuit, letting it prove itself against the country's best. Then the 1973 oil crisis hit, killing Grand Prix racing before the GTO could make its mark. But the Galant GTO wasn't done. It became a regular contender in rallying, particularly the Japanese Alpine Rally, where it demonstrated its capability on demanding terrain. The car that looked like American muscle proved it could handle like a proper sports machine. Number 7, 1973 Datsun Bluebird SSS Coupe. The Datsun Bluebird SSS Coupe, known as the 610 in the United States, was the car that proved Japan understood the assignment. This wasn't some stripped-down Econobox pretending to be sporty. The SSS came with a proper 1.8-liter inline-4 engine that delivered genuine performance wrapped in a sleek fastback body. It looked fast standing still. Datsun designed this car for people who wanted something more than basic transportation, but couldn't justify the price tag of a European sports coupe. The SSS hit that sweet spot, affordable, reliable, and quick enough to make your daily commute actually enjoyable. The fastback roofline gave it an aggressive profile that set it apart from the sedan version. Inside, it offered surprising comfort for a car positioned as a performance model. Bucket seats up front, a dashboard that put essential gauges within easy reach, and enough rear seat space that you wouldn't feel guilty using it as your only car. Under the hood, that inline-4 was smooth and willing to rev paired with a responsive manual transmission. The SSS rewarded drivers who knew how to work a gear lever. It wasn't about brute force, it was about momentum and precision. The Bluebird SSS may not have the legendary status of some cars on this list, but it represented something important: accessible performance. You didn't need a trust fund or a second mortgage to own a car that put a smile on your face. You just needed to appreciate what Japan was quietly building while the rest of the world was still figuring out fuel economy. Number 6, 1990 Nissan 300ZX. The 1990 Nissan 300ZX was Japan's declaration that the sports car wars were over, and they'd won. This wasn't an incremental update. Nissan completely reimagined what a Z car could be, wrapping a twin turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 in bodywork that looked like it was designed in a wind tunnel and styled by someone who actually understood curves. The numbers told the story: 300 horsepower, 283 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds, top speed of 155 miles per hour. Those weren't just good numbers for a Japanese car, those were supercar numbers that embarrassed Corvettes and made Porsche owners nervous. But the 300ZX wasn't just about straight-line speed. Nissan gave it four-wheel steering that made it rotate through corners like something half its size. The independent multi-link rear suspension kept the power planted while maintaining a ride quality that didn't punish you on regular roads. Four-wheel vented disc brakes with 4-piston calipers up front meant you could scrub speed as confidently as you built it. No fade, no drama, just immediate, controllable stopping power. Inside, the variable assist electronic power steering made maneuvering effortless. Every shift of the stubby 5-speed shifter felt mechanical and direct. Every throttle input was met with an immediate V6 roar that reminded you this car had serious intent. The 300ZX wasn't just fast, it was the complete package. Power, comfort, and handling blended so seamlessly that you could attack a canyon road in the morning and cruise comfortably on the highway that afternoon. This was Japan proving they didn't just understand performance, they'd mastered it. Number 5, 1970 Datsun 240Z. The 1970 Datsun 240Z didn't just earn its place among the fastest cars of the decade, it rewrote the rules entirely. Sleek lines, agile performance, a price tag that made British sports car dealers sweat. The 240Z was the car that proved Japan could build something beautiful and fast without charging European supercar money. A 146 cubic inch inline-6 produced 175 horsepower, pushing the 240Z from 0 to 60 in just 8 seconds, quarter mile in 17.5 seconds, top speed of 120 miles per hour. Impressive numbers, but the real story was how it delivered that performance. Fully independent suspension, McPherson struts up front and in the rear gave the 240Z a balanced, responsive ride. It was smooth on the road, communicative through corners, and actually enjoyable to drive hard. This wasn't a muscle car that only knew how to go straight. This was a proper sports machine. On the test track, it had quirks. The car handled corners beautifully turning left, but would understeer slightly going right, likely traced to a spring issue. The throttle system, designed to meet emission standards, could make smooth shifting and low-speed response a bit tricky, but these were minor complaints in a car that fundamentally got it right. The 240Z dominated SCCA production racing throughout the decade, proving its performance credentials weren't just marketing talk. It could compete, and it could win. With its combination of speed, design, and performance, the 1970 Datsun 240Z became more than just a sports car. It became a symbol of the 70s speed revolution. Number 4, 1994 Toyota Celica ST205. The Toyota Celica ST205 wasn't pretending to be a race car for the road. It was a race car that happened to have license plates. Under the hood sat a turbocharged 146 cubic inch inline-4 cranking out 254 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 5-speed gearbox. The ST205 hit 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds and topped out at 153 miles per hour. This wasn't subtle, this wasn't refined, this was Toyota building a rally weapon you could legally drive to work. The turbocharged engine delivered excellent mid-range punch thanks to high-flow catalytic converters. The turbo spooled up quickly, unleashing a deep, satisfying growl that let everyone know you weren't messing around. The all-wheel drive system kept all that power glued to the pavement, no matter how much throttle you gave it. That quick shifting 5-speed transmission, especially with an aftermarket short throw shifter, made every gear change feel precise and direct, like working the bolt on a rifle, mechanical, purposeful, satisfying. But the ST205 wasn't all business. Sleek, swooping bodywork and gold speedline wheels turned heads wherever it went. The cabin, surprisingly spacious for a coupe, featured a Recaro confetti seat for the driver that provided genuine support during hard cornering. Even the back seats folded for extra cargo space, making this rally legend surprisingly practical. The car's racing pedigree spoke for itself. The ST205 won the 1995 Rally Catalunya in the World Rally Championship, proving it could compete at the highest level of motorsport. Number 3, 1991 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. The 1991 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4 was what happened when Japanese engineers got tired of playing it safe and decided to throw every piece of technology they had at a single car. Twin turbocharged 183 cubic inch V6, 300 horsepower, 306 pound-feet of torque, all-wheel drive, active aerodynamics, 4-wheel steering, adaptive suspension. This wasn't just a sports car, it was a rolling showcase of cutting-edge tech that wouldn't become mainstream for another decade. The numbers were serious, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, putting it right alongside the Chevrolet Corvette. Quarter mile in 13.6 seconds at 100 miles per hour. This was a car built to perform, and it backed up every bold claim Mitsubishi made. But the VR4 wasn't just about raw speed. Mitsubishi designed it as a grand touring car, fast enough to thrill, comfortable enough to cover serious distance without beating you up, plush leather seats, advanced climate control, a level of luxury that separated it from stripped-down track specials. Sure, it was heavy at 3,737 pounds, but that all-wheel drive system meant the VR4 could launch hard and grip the road with confidence. It wasn't the lightest car out there, but it used every pound purposefully. Later generations saw power climb to 320 horsepower and 315 pound-feet of torque, making an already capable machine even more potent. The VR4 proved that technology and performance weren't mutually exclusive. You could have both, wrapped in aggressive styling that announced its intentions from 100 yards away. Number 2, 1973 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR. The 1973 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR is often called the granddaddy of all Skyline GTRs, and for good reason. Nissan only built 197 of them. Let that sink in, 197 units before strict emission controls killed production after just 4 months. This wasn't a limited edition. This was a car that got strangled in its crib by regulations. Skyline fans call it the Phantom for a reason. If you ever see one in person, take a picture. It might be your only chance. Under the hood sat a 146 cubic inch inline-6 producing 160 horsepower. Not massive by today's standards, but enough to push the car from 0 to 60 in 8.4 seconds with a top speed of 124 miles per hour. The 5-speed manual transmission connected that engine's power directly to the rear wheels, delivering a driving experience that was both thrilling and responsive. With 131 pound-feet of torque, the Skyline had enough grunt to handle Japan's twisty back roads with ease. The inline-6 delivered smooth, effortless power that made every drive satisfying. The fastback design and pitch black wheels gave it a sleek, powerful presence. This wasn't a car trying to look aggressive, it just was muscular, purposeful, rare. Despite its brief production run, the 1973 GTR set the stage for every performance Skyline that followed. It proved that Nissan knew how to build something special, blending power with style in a way few cars of that era could match. Number 1, 1967 Toyota 2000 GT. before the Supra, before the GTR, before Japan was even taken seriously in the sports car world, there was the 2000 GT. This was the car that changed everything. When the Toyota 2000 GT debuted at the 1965 Tokyo Motor Show, the automotive world didn't know what to make of it. Toyota built trucks and economy cars. They didn't build sleek, gorgeous sports cars that looked like they belonged in a European showroom. But there it was, designed in collaboration with Yamaha, penned with Italian influence, and engineered to prove Japan could compete with anyone. The 2000 GT featured a 146 cubic inch inline-six producing 150 horsepower. It hit 0 to 60 in around 8 seconds with a top speed of 135 miles per hour. Respectable numbers, but the real story wasn't just the performance, it was the entire package. Double wishbone suspension components borrowed from race cars, disc brakes on all 4 magnesium wheels, a body crafted using Yamaha's advanced molding technology. This car was engineered with precision that rivaled, and in some cases exceeded, what Europe was offering. In 1966, the 2000 GT set 3 world records and 13 international records for speed and endurance, proving its performance and reliability weren't just marketing talk. Then came the Ultimate Flex, a starring role in the 1967 James Bond film You Only Live Twice. Bond behind the wheel of a Japanese sports car? That wasn't just product placement, that was a statement. Only 337 units were ever built between 1967 and 1970, making the 2000 GT incredibly rare. Today, pristine examples sell at auction for over $1 million.